The American lion looked familiar, but its body, its behavior, and its role in the Ice Age tell a very different story. When most people hear the word lion, they picture Africa, open savannas, prides, and a predator built for short bursts of speed. But the most powerful lion to ever live didn't hunt on the African plains. It hunted in North America. And while it shared a name with modern lions, it wasn't simply a larger version of them. This animal lived in a colder, harsher world, alongside saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and the largest bears ever to walk the continent. To survive there, it had to be built differently, hunt differently, and occupy a very different role in the ecosystem. And to understand why the American lion wasn't just a lion at all, we first need to meet it on its own terms, not through comparison, but through evidence. The American lion lived in North America during the late Ice Age, from Alaska to Mexico, at a time when the continent was filled with some of the largest animals that ever existed. It shared this landscape with mammoths, giant bison, ground sloths, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and massive bears. This was not a quiet ecosystem. It was crowded, competitive, and dangerous. Scientifically known as Panthera atrox, the American lion was one of the largest cats to ever walk the earth. It was larger than most modern African lions, with longer limbs, a more elongated body, and proportions better suited for covering open ground. For a long time, scientists debated what this animal actually was. Early researchers thought it might be a giant jaguar, or simply a subspecies of the African lion. But fossil comparisons and genetic evidence tell a different story. The American lion belonged to its own distinct Ice Age lineage, closely related to lions, but separated by geography and evolution for tens of thousands of years. It wasn't an African lion that wandered north. It evolved in isolation, adapting to a colder climate, larger prey, and a very different kind of hunting ground. In other words, this wasn't a familiar predator in a new place. It was a specialized Ice Age hunter, shaped by North America's unique megafauna and the intense competition that came with it. And to understand how it dominated this world, we need to look closely at its body, because this lion was built very differently from the ones we know today.
At first glance, the American lion looks familiar. 4 legs, a long tail, a body shaped like a modern big cat. But the similarities start to fade once you look closely. Compared to African lions, the American lion had longer limbs, a more elongated frame, and a lighter build relative to its size. This wasn't an ambush predator built for short bursts in tall grass. It was built to move. Fossil limb proportions suggest an animal optimized for covering open ground efficiently, able to travel longer distances and maintain speed across wide plains. In Ice Age North America, that mattered. The American lion hunted in landscapes dominated by grasslands, open woodlands, and steppe-like environments. Prey animals were large, mobile, and widely spaced. To survive here, a predator couldn't rely solely on surprise. It needed reach, endurance, and the ability to reposition quickly in open terrain. This is where the American lion diverged sharply from the African lion. African lions are powerful ambush hunters, built for explosive acceleration over short distances. The American lion, by contrast, was built for pursuit. Not marathon chases, but longer, sustained movement than most big cats could manage. Its skeletal structure shows no signs of saber-like specialization, no extreme four-limb bulk like Smilodon, and no adaptations for pack endurance like dire wolves. Instead, it occupied a middle ground, fast enough to chase, strong enough to grapple, and large enough to dominate most encounters. In other words, this wasn't a lion copied and pasted into a new environment. It was a predator redesigned by Ice Age North America, shaped by open space, large prey, and intense competition. And while its body made it formidable, size alone doesn't explain its dominance. To understand that, we need to clear up one of the biggest myths surrounding this animal: just how big it actually was. When people hear about the American lion, the first thing they usually imagine is something monstrous. A lion twice the size of anything alive today. That image is understandable. It's also wrong. The American lion was larger than most modern African lions, but not by an extreme margin. Most adult individuals likely weighed between 200 and 300 kilograms, roughly 440 to 660 pounds, with the largest males possibly exceeding that. Large, yes, but still within the limits of what a cat can realistically support. Claims of American lions weighing 800, 900 or even 1,000 kilograms, 1,700 to over 2,200 pounds, don't hold up to fossil evidence. Bones tell a very different story. An animal that heavy would require thicker limb bones, reinforced joints, and a body plan closer to a bear than a cat. The American lion doesn't show those adaptations. Its skeleton reflects strength balanced with mobility, not brute mass. What made the American lion impressive wasn't exaggerated weight, it was proportion. Longer legs, a tall frame, and a build that allowed it to move efficiently across open landscapes while still overpowering large prey. In other words, the American lion didn't dominate because it was impossibly heavy. It dominated because it was heavy enough and built in a way that let it use that weight effectively. In Ice Age ecosystems, being too massive could be a disadvantage. Speed drops, endurance suffers, injury risk rises. The American lion avoided that trap. So if it wasn't a giant monster, and it wasn't an ambush specialist, how did it actually hunt? That answer tells us more about this animal than its size ever could. The American lion was not an ambush specialist like Smilodon, and it was not an endurance pack hunter like direwolves. Its hunting strategy sat somewhere in between. Unlike saber-toothed cats, the American lion had normal conical canines, designed for gripping, suffocating, and holding struggling prey. This meant it relied on a powerful bite to the throat or muzzle, rather than precision strikes to soft tissue. Its longer legs and lighter build allowed it to close distance quickly across open ground, Not a marathon chase, but fast, decisive pursuits that forced prey to make mistakes. Fossil evidence and prey availability suggest the American lion targeted large, mobile herbivores: bison, horses, camels, and juvenile mammoths. These animals lived in herds, moved constantly, and occupied wide, open landscapes. In these environments, ambush alone wasn't enough. The American lion needed to spot prey from a distance, position itself strategically, and strike at the right moment, often isolating weaker or younger individuals. Once contact was made, its strength mattered. Powerful forelimbs helped it grapple and destabilize prey, while its size allowed it to dominate most single opponents. This was a predator built to control a struggle, not end it instantly. What made the American lion effective was flexibility. It could chase when needed, it could grapple when needed, and it could disengage if the risk became too high. But hunting ability alone doesn't tell the full story. To truly understand this predator, we need to answer another question. Did it hunt alone, or did it hunt with others? One of the biggest unanswered questions about the American lion is how it interacted with others of its kind. Did it hunt in groups, like modern African lions, or did it live and hunt mostly alone? Unlike living animals, behavior doesn't fossilize. We can't observe American lions in the wild. We have to infer their social lives from bones, sites, and patterns in the fossil record. So far, that evidence is mixed. American lion fossils are usually found alone, not clustered in large numbers the way African lions sometimes are. That suggests they didn't live in permanent, pride-like social groups. But size and anatomy complicate that picture. The American lion shows moderate sexual dimorphism. Males were larger than females, a trait often associated with at least some level of social interaction or competition. The most likely scenario is that American lions were flexibly social. They may have hunted alone much of the time, but tolerated others when conditions allowed, such as during mating seasons, around large kills, or in regions with abundant prey. This kind of loose association would make sense in Ice Age North America. Prey was mobile and spread across vast landscapes. Permanent group living could be costly when food wasn't predictable. Instead of fixed prides, the American lion may have lived a lifestyle somewhere between modern lions and modern tigers, capable of cooperation but not dependent on it. Whether alone or in small groups, the American lion didn't exist in isolation. It shared its world with other apex predators, many of them just as dangerous. And understanding those rivals helps explain how this lion fit into one of the most competitive ecosystems Earth has ever seen. The American lion did not dominate the Ice Age alone. North America, during the late Pleistocene, was one of the most predator-dense ecosystems the planet has ever seen. Every large kill attracted competition. Sharing this landscape were saber-toothed cats like Smilodon, packs of dire wolves, and massive, short-faced bears, each adapted to a different hunting strategy. This wasn't a hierarchy, it was a balance. Smilodon specialized in ambush. It relied on strength, surprise, and precise killing strikes at close range. Dire wolves relied on numbers. They exhausted prey through persistence and overwhelmed targets as a group. Short-faced bears often didn't hunt at all. They intimidated, displaced, and stole kills through sheer size. The American lion occupied a different niche. It was built for open ground, able to spot prey from a distance, close in quickly, and secure a kill before competitors arrived. Speed and positioning mattered. This separation of roles reduced direct conflict. Each predator excelled under different conditions, allowing them to coexist without one species completely excluding the others. But coexistence didn't mean peace. Encounters were likely frequent, especially around carcasses. A lion might drive off wolves. A bear might drive off a lion. A saber-tooth might abandon a kill rather than risk injury. In this world, every decision carried consequences. What made the American lion successful was not dominance over every rival, but its ability to operate effectively before competition escalated. Kill quickly, feed efficiently, move on. For tens of thousands of years, that strategy worked. But even the most balanced ecosystems can unravel. And when the Ice Age began to change, the rules that governed these predators changed with it. The American lion did not disappear because it was weak, and it did not vanish because it was outcompeted by a single rival. Its extinction was the result of a system coming apart. As the Ice Age drew to a close, North America began to change rapidly. Temperatures rose, glaciers retreated, grasslands shifted, and the vast open environments the American lion depended on started to fragment. At the same time, many of its primary prey species declined. Large herbivores, bison, horses, camels, and mammoths experienced population drops as climate instability reshaped ecosystems. When prey becomes scarce, even the most capable predators struggle. Humans entered this already stressed system at a critical moment. They didn't need to hunt the American lion directly to affect its survival. By hunting the same large herbivores, humans reduced prey availability across entire regions. For a predator built around large, energy-rich prey, this was devastating. The American lion couldn't easily switch to smaller animals. Its size and hunting strategy were tuned to a world that was disappearing. This wasn't a sudden collapse. Populations likely shrank region by region, isolated, fragmented, and unable to recover. Each loss reduced genetic diversity, making the next loss more likely. By around 12,000 years ago, the American lion was gone. Not defeated in battle, not outmatched by a single cause, but undone by climate change, ecosystem disruption, and the loss of the world it was built to rule. Yet extinction doesn't erase significance. And to understand why the American lion still matters, we need to look beyond how it died and focus on what it represents. The American lion wasn't a myth. And it wasn't just a larger version of a familiar animal. It was a product of a specific time, a specific place, and a specific set of pressures that no longer exist. It didn't rule through brute force alone. It didn't dominate because it was the biggest predator in the room. It succeeded because it was precisely adapted to open landscapes, large prey, and intense competition. In that world, the American lion made sense. Its body, its hunting style, its place in the ecosystem, all of it worked until the system itself began to change. When climates shifted, when megafauna declined, and when humans altered the balance, there was no alternative role waiting for it. The world it was built for did not survive. That's why the American lion is so easy to misunderstand. We try to fit it into modern categories: lion, tiger, giant predator. But it belonged to none of them. It was an Ice Age experiment, a predator shaped by open space, abundant giants, and relentless competition. And when that experiment ended, so did the animal. The American lion wasn't just a lion. It was something far rarer. A reminder that evolution doesn't repeat itself, and that even the most powerful animals are inseparable from the worlds that create them.